A woman discovered a mysterious place while surfing the internet. Once inside, no one could escape. To inherit his hundreds of millions of dollars, her husband must die unexpectedly there. So she urged him to join her on a wilderness adventure. Naive Nick agreed without hesitation. When they arrived at their destination, Lisa, while her husband was drinking water, deliberately sank into the swamp. She then desperately screamed for help. Hearing her cries, her husband quickly rushed over. He stretched out his arms to pull his wife out, but he couldn't reach. Confused, Nick found a stick, and Lisa quickly grabbing the stick. However, the stick was too thin, and it broke in two with just a little effort. Suddenly, Lisa had an idea. She deliberately swung herself to fall. Seeing her wife's life hanging by a thread, Nick, desperate to save her, leaped in. He then held onto his wife tightly with both hands, and with all his might, he finally pulled Lisa out. Nick breathed a sigh of relief. Unbeknownst to him, Lisa had deliberately dragged him down with her. She knew Nick loved her deeply and would never allow himself to be put in danger. This successfully tricked her husband into the swamp. However, the next plan was to have her husband push her back to shore first, then abandon him and escape, trapping him in the swamp. This would allow her to inherit his hundreds of billions of dollars. Nick, unaware of his wife's intentions, was still planning to rescue Lisa. However, the swamp was far more difficult than she had imagined. They tried for a long time, but nothing moved. Lisa was completely panicked. Unexpectedly, her plan had failed, and she was also involved. She wanted to take off her shoes and try again, but suddenly she felt something, and a bad premonition suddenly came over her. She gestured to her husband. They pushed forward together, only to find a body suddenly emerging. The two were instantly terrified. After calming down, Nick discovered the man's backpack from underneath, and Lisa dug out a shotgun. However, the body before them was too horrifying, so they had no choice but to push it back into the quicksand. They then began to examine the man's equipment, trying to find anything of value. Aside from a knife and a lighter, the rest was entirely useless. Nick then examined the shotgun and found only 2 bullets, seemingly intended for suicide.